My rich sister mocked me without mercy today. She asked, enjoying your $700,000 trust fund. I stared, heart pounding, breath caught in my throat. Everyone around us froze. The air thick with tension, 10 to 25 sec emotional setup twist. She laughed, pointing at me, thinking she had one. My face burned, and I felt small, insignificant, humiliated. But the truth she didn't know could change everything. Silently, I pulled my phone, heart racing. Hands trembling, 0.25 245 sec turning point, eyes widened as I touched the screen. Smirk forming. She realized too late, confidence starting to crumble. Everyone turned. Watching, breath held, the moment stretching. What she mocked, what she thought was mine, was different. 45 to 60 sec promise of revenge, cliffhanger, in seconds. Her world would flip completely upside down, and I would stand there, silent. Watching IT happen, the next move would change everything she believed about me. Stay watching, because nothing she expected would ever return. I could see. Her eyes widened furiously. The room felt like I'd stopped breathing. Her lips quivered. Trying to form words, everyone around us watched. Unsure what happened, I stood still, silent, heart pounding fast. The air was heavy, charged electric with tension. She pointed, gasping, thinking she had control. I shook my head, a small smile forming. She thought she knew everything about me. All those years of mocking, belittlement, and laughter. I had kept quiet, watched, planned, and waited. Now the time had come to flip IT. I pulled out my phone slowly, calmly, fingers dancing over the screen, heart beating. She realized too late. Confusion crossed her face. The silence grew, heavier with every passing second. I clicked send, and the room shook silently. Her eyes flew to the screen, panicking fast. Everyone stood still, breath held, hearts racing. She didn't know this would change everything. The email went THROUGH. Confirmation popping instantly. She froze, hands trembling, mouth open, shocked. What she mocked all along, was now powerless, erased, turned against her instantly. Her smirk turned to horror. Her confidence shattered. The room filled with gasps, murmurs, and whispers. I watched, quiet, heart calm, hands steady. The balance had shifted, and she knew IT. I took a breath, letting the moment settle. She tried to speak, but no word came out, eyes locked on me, searching for an answer. That answer would take time, but I had control. Everything she thought she owned was now questioned. Her world turned upside down, and she knew it. I smiled quietly, but the revenge wasn't over. This was only the beginning. And she knew IT. The air was thick, loaded, alive with tension. She knew she had been outsmarted completely. I stood tall, quiet, and in control, finally. Everyone witnessed this shift. Silence speaking louder than words, my phone still in hand. The power clearly mine. She sat down, breathing heavily, attempting composure. But I could see her world crumbling slowly. The trust fund joke had backfired incredibly fast. I smiled again. Calm, quiet, determined, unmoved. She couldn't touch me now. Not today. The revenge had started, and IT would unfold. I knew every eye in the room watched me. And just like that, everything she knew changed. I kept quiet, letting her feel the impact. This wasn't about money, but about respect finally, and she would learn that the hard way. She sat there, stunned, heart racing fast. Her confidence shattered. Like glass under pressure, the room felt heavy. Every eye on us. I knew she thought she still had power, but now the game had shifted entirely. Every mock, every laugh, every snide comment was now echoing back, turning against her quickly. The air was charged, thick with expectation and fear. I stood, calm, heart beating, hands steady. My phone held the key to everything here. She couldn't predict, couldn't control, couldn't stop. The table had turned, and she realized IT slowly. Her eyes searched mine, desperation hiding behind pride. She couldn't deny what she just saw happen. I took a step forward, quiet, purposeful. Determined, the silence was loud, heavy, almost crushing. I clicked another button, smiling calmly inside. The confirmation popped up, and she froze completely. Everything she had ever mocked was now visible. She couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. I heard the murmurs, gasps, and quiet whispers. Her friends turned, shock clearly written on faces. She had been outsmarted, outplayed, and humiliated. Everyone realized she was no longer in control. I stepped closer, letting the tension grow stronger. She shrank back, trying to hide behind pride, but I knew her heart was pounding, frightened, lost. This wasn't just about the trust fund anymore. The air was electric, filled with unseen power. Everyone watched, silent. As the balance shifted completely, her face turned pale, confidence disappearing instantly. I could see fear, regret, and shock in her eyes. I let out a soft breath, quiet, controlled, calm. Every second felt like hours in that room. She knew she had been beaten without a fight. My heart beat steady, my mind sharp, focused. The room heard the click of my phone again. She jumped, eyes widened and mouth opened, shocked. The email confirmation was visible, the proof irrefutable. Everything she had mocked was now turned into respect. She tried to speak, but nitrogen monoxide word came forth. Her hands trembled, face frozen, soul shocked. Everyone watched silently, breath held, hearts racing. The power had shifted, and she realized IT fully. I stepped back, calm, quiet, yet determined, strong. She couldn't touch me now, not today or ever. I let her feel the impact of her arrogance. The revenge had begun, and it would finish soon. The silence speaks louder than any words possible. Her world crumbled, and she knew IT completely. I let IT sink in, heart quiet, mind clear. She would learn the hard way about respect. And just like that, she realized the truth. Every mock, every laugh, every sneer backfired quickly. My move had changed everything, turned her world upside down, and she knew nothing would ever be the same again. The room was still, every eye on her face. Her confidence had crumbled, her pride in shatters. I could see IT clearly, the fear in her eyes. Every mock, every laugh she shared, now turned against her. She tried to smile, but IT didn't reach her eyes. I stood quietly, watching, letting the silence speak loud. Every second she held back, the weight grew heavier. She knew she had lost control, and she hated I took a step closer, heart beating steady, strong. Her hands twitched, nervous, almost like she wanted to run. But she couldn't move, trapped by her own arrogance. Everyone in the room held their breath. Watching the drama, my phone rested in my hand. A silent weapon ready. One click could change her world even further. She froze, trying to figure out what I was doing. She had never seen me like this. Calm, determined. Her friends shifted uncomfortably. Not sure what to say, the air felt thick, heavy, like something was coming. She knew she couldn't hide, couldn't escape my move. Every look she threw my way was full of fear. I let my hand rest on the desk, slightly bending forward. Her eyes followed, desperate, searching for any escape. I knew her mind was racing, trying to plan a way, but she was out of moves. And she knew. I took a deep breath, quiet, calm, heart steady. The silence was powerful, louder than any word I could say. Everyone could feel it, the shift in energy in the room. She felt it, and her body tensed, like a trapped animal. I clicked another button, and the screen lighted up brightly. Her eyes widened, face pale, hands trembling slightly. Everyone watched as the email confirmation popped on the screen. She realized the $700,000 trust fund was no longer a joke. She tried to speak, stammering, But no logged words came. Her lips moved. But the sound died in the air. Everyone held their breath, waiting for her reaction. The tension in the room was almost physical, heavy. I watched silently, letting her feel the full impact. Her eyes darted, trying to find a way out, but there was nitrogen monoxide escape. Nitrogen monoxide, quick excuse. No trick. The power dynamic had shifted completely, irreversibly. I heard the whispers, SOFT, shocked. Filled with surprise, her friends couldn't believe what had just happened. She had mocked me without mercy. And now IT backfired. The air crackled with revenge, justice, and shock. I let out a soft breath. Heart calm, mind focused. Every second she felt the humiliation and fear of loss. She was smaller, shrunken, like she had shrunk instantly. Everything she thought she controlled had vanished in seconds. She sat there, frozen, trapped by her own arrogance. I could see the regret beginning to creep into her eyes. Every mocking comment, every laugh, every snide remark had returned to her. Like a boomerang of karma, my phone held the final piece, the ultimate confirmation. Her breath quickened, heart racing, and palms sweating. Every second stretched. Time seemed to slow in the room. She knew she couldn't fix this, couldn't turn back. I clicked on the bank app, showing the funds clearly. She gasped, face flushed, hands clutched the desk in fear. Everyone watched, shock and admiration mixed with confusion. She had mocked me, and now she was humbled completely. I stepped back, quiet, letting the silence do the work. Her eyes widened, mouth open, and she realized everything. Everything she had ever thought was mine was now real. She couldn't touch IT, couldn't mock IT, couldn't deny IT. The air was heavy, tense, and filled with awed silence. Her friends looked on, unsure whether to cheer or cringe. Everyone watched as her world turned upside down instantly. She sat there, humbled, afraid, and completely speechless. I smiled slightly, quietly. Knowing my move was perfect, she had learned her lesson the hard way, clearly. Every mocking comment, every arrogant smile had backfired terribly. She would never understand until she experienced IT fully. And just when I thought the room couldn't get quieter, her parents stood silent, watching, astonished and mouth open. The power shift had happened and it was irreversible. She couldn't recover. Not today, not ever again. I let the silence linger, allowing every lesson to sink. The room felt like it was breathing, live with shock. Everyone knew they had witnessed something unbelievable happen. She knew IT too, and the fear showed clearly. I took a final breath, calm, confident, in control. The air was heavy with respect, regret, and silent acknowledgement. She would think twice before mocking or underestimating again. Everything had changed, and she couldn't deny IT anymore. And that's when I knew the revenge had only begun. The next move, the final step, would finish her arrogance. I was ready, calm, and determined, heart steady. Her world had already started to crumble. And it would fall. The room was silent, still every eye on her face. She sat there, chest heavy, hands clutched, shaking slightly. Every breath she took felt labored, as if weighed down. The confidence she once had completely crumbled before me. I watched, quiet, heart calm, mind steady. In control, her eyes kept shifting, looking for a way out. She couldn't find one, and she knew IT clearly. Every mock, every smirk, every snide comment had returned. Her friends shifted nervously, unsure whether to speak or move. The air thick with tension. Like storm clouds above, everyone felt IT, heavy, electric, filled with anticipation. She knew this was the moment her arrogance ended. I took a step closer, hands relaxed, body straight. She shrank back, palms sweaty, breath hitching in fear. The room seemed to slow, every sound amplified. Echoing, her face turned pale, mouth open, stunned into silence. I took my phone, screen glowing, funds displayed clearly. Her breath caught. Eyes widened, heart pounding violently. Everyone else in the room stared, shocked and awed. She couldn't deny the truth, couldn't fake her way out. I let the silence stretch, letting karma do its work. Her mockery, her arrogance, her laughing at my expense had all come back full force, like a tsunami. She sat there, shrunken, humiliated, and completely powerless. Her parents looked on, mouths open, astonished. Wordless, her friends shifted uneasily, the air heavy with awkwardness. She had mocked me for years, believing I had nothing. Now the power dynamic shifted completely. And she knew I teak. I took a deep breath, heart steady, mind clear. She fumbled, hands trembling, trying to find any excuse. Every idea she had, every plan to save her pride failed instantly, blown away like leaves in a storm. I looked her straight in the eyes, quiet, calm, strong. Her eyes dropped, shame and fear dancing in them. The room felt alive, tense, filled with unpredictable energy. She knew she couldn't fix this. Not today, not ever. I finally spoke, voice low but firm, clear as glass. Everyone thinks they know you, think you have it all. But sometimes they forget what goes around comes back. Her face flushed, cheeks hot, eyes downcast, wordless. I let her sit with the silence, the heavy weight. Everyone else held their breath, feeling the power shift. She had mocked me without mercy, believing I had nothing. Now she felt humiliation, fear, and regret all at once. I clicked another button, showing the documents clear, irrefutable. Her trust fund was real. Every cent mine to control. She couldn't deny, I couldn't escape, couldn't hide. Every laugh, every mock had returned to her like a storm. Her friends gasped, parents stared, silence weighing heavy. She sat there, still, face pale, hands clutched, breath shallow. I saw it all, every micro-expression, every quiver of fear. She had learned a lesson, one she would never forget. I took a final step back, smiling slightly, quietly, calm. The room felt still, almost sacred, silence filled with power. Everyone realized the shift. The justice, the karma in play. She would never mock, never underestimate, never believe again. I turned to the window, letting my gaze drift outward. The light shone bright, clear, warm, like a new beginning. She sat there, shrunken, humbled. The lesson settled deep. Everything she had taken for granted was now irrevocably changed. I breathed deeply. Heart calm, mind focused, feeling strong. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer, the strongest move. Every word she mocked, every laugh had come back full. She knew I teed, her eyes said it, all wordlessly. And that's when I realized true power is patient. True justice doesn't rush. It waits. It teaches. Every action has consequences, every mock, every underestimation. She would remember this moment for the rest of her life. I smiled quietly, letting the lesson sink in deeply. The room felt different, heavy, yet filled with respect. She would think twice before mocking or undermining again. Everything had changed, and she couldn't deny it now. The moral was clear. It's powerful, irreversible, and lasting. Respect is earned, mockery returns, silence speaks loudest. And sometimes, all it takes is one calm move to turn the tables, teach the lesson, and win. I turned and walked away, calm, victorious. Heartlight. The room behind me was silent, full of astonishment. Everyone had witnessed true karma in motion. Raw and real. She would never mock or underestimate me again. And in that quiet moment, I knew something powerful. The quiet, the calm, the patient move can change more than any shout, any fight, any argument. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer, and I knew it too. The lesson was learned. The justice served, the karma paid. Every mock, every laugh had returned, teaching her respect. The world feels different when you learn to wait, to let actions speak, and to let silence teach. And that's when I smiled, knowing I had won. Not with anger, not with shouts, but with calm. Everything she thought she controlled had shifted irreversibly. The lesson was learned. She would never forget.